Is your magic meter running low? Well, we've got a cure for you. Welcome to Disney Coast to Coast.
Hey folks, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast, the ultimate unofficial Disney fan podcast. I'm Jeff DePauli, and today on the show, my friend Preston is joining me to talk about the Play Disney Parks app in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So hello to the show, Preston.
Hey Jeff, thanks for having me again.
I just realized the last time you were on, it was about something Star Wars. We talked about the Void Star Wars experience. So I guess there's a theme when it comes to Preston on Disney Coast to Coast.
I guess so.
It's always Star Wars. Anyway, let's get into that discussion about the app right now.
It's time to dive into today's Disney dialogue.
Okay, so I just want to say right at the top of this, if you plan on using the Play Disney Parks app or the Disneyland app while you're at the parks, which I would suggest, at least the Disneyland app, I highly suggest, download them before you get there, because I don't know if you've had this experience, Preston, but it's not an easy download once in the park. Have you had that?
It is definitely not an easy download.
I've actually never used the Play Disney Parks app before Galaxy's Edge, because when I was recently at Walt Disney World, I was like, oh yeah, I should check this out. I've never really used it. And I kept trying to download it, never downloaded the entire vacation. So I made sure I did it at home before heading to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So truly, if you want to download the Disneyland app or the Play Disney Parks app, make sure you do it when you're at home, connected to Wi-Fi, and before you get to the park. And we're going to be talking about the Play Disney Parks app today, but I do want to mention the Disneyland app is a really, really good resource to have. In fact, I would say a very important resource these days, because on there it has the mobile food order, as well as PhotoPass, MaxPass, and FastPass. Also lets you know wait times for attractions and, show schedules and stuff like that. So it's a really good tool to have. Of course, in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge... I'm sorry, what was that?
You can make dining reservations for table service, too, on the app now.
Yeah.
So pretty awesome.
So there's a lot to do on there. It's very useful.
So much.
Of course, in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, you can't really book FastPass yet. That's not available. But what is available is the Play Disney Parks app games, I guess you would call them, inside of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And they have a few different games. One of them is scanning. Another is translation. Then there's tuning. And is there another one? Or am I missing one? Oh, and hacking. Hacking
yes.
as well. Yeah, so is there one you want to start with, or do you just have some overall thoughts on the Play Disney Parks app to begin?
Well, first off, I just wanted to say that they have all that, like the hacking, all that stuff, the four that we said is part of the data pad. And then they also have a attraction queue line game for Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run that we didn't get to play because our line for Millennium Falcon was probably 5 minutes long. But it's similar to the Space Mountain one that they have, the Peter Pan one that they have at Disneyland. But we didn't get to do that. We just did the data pad.
Yeah, so I actually didn't. I honestly, I feel like such an old man when I'm using the Play Disney Parks app, because I'm like, what is this? This, like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I am not a gamer. I've never played a game on my phone before. Like, I just don't use it for that purpose. Do you use it, or have you ever used the Play Disney Parks app before?
I've used it. So I haven't done the Space Mountain one, but I did the Peter Pan one, and I actually really like that one because it's kind of like a scavenger hunt while you're in the line, and then at the end there's like a Tinkerbell light up like lantern thing that's pretty cool. So I enjoyed that, but generally, like, compared to the rest of my generation, I'm only 17 years old. I'm not really as big of a gamer as many people are.
Okay, so when you say something lit up, like a Tinkerbell thing lit up, that was an actual physical thing in the queue of Peter Pan interacted? Is that what you're saying?
Physical thing. So at the finale of that game,
okay,
you would stand up next to it and point your phone at it, and then it would light up, and she'd like do some pixie dust. It was
okay. Cool. That I like. That's the type of stuff I like. When it's basically just in your phone, it doesn't excite me as much. As I said, this was my first time using the Play Disney Parks app. I didn't really love it, but we can talk about that after. Let's just talk about some of the things that we actually got to do. Is there one of them that you want to start with, Preston?
Sure. So the first mission that I did was I had to intercept transmissions from a First Order base. So what I did is it was over by the First Order shop. So I went over there, and then I there was a little text on my screen. So I showed the map, tapped on it on the map, that little icon. And then there was a puzzle that popped up. And so I had to get it in order. There was 3 little sections, and then you had to just scoot it around, get it in order from 1, 2, and 3. And then after that, the transmission popped up on my phone. I sent it to the guy who sent me the mission in the first place, and I got some like 300 credits.
And this was part of the tuning game, is that correct?
Yes, tuning game.
Okay, cool. So in this, you're tapping into to decrypt signals from antennas or communication devices and listen to secret messages, and that's the goal. And like you said, like there are these little puzzles in the game. I did some of this as well, and it's just you have to it's kind of like those little movement puzzles where you need to move pieces without intercepting the other ones and stuff. And it's a little mind puzzle, but there's just a lot of like, okay, why? Like,
Yes,
if
totally.
I'm just tuning in to listen to something, why? It's
A lot of the data pad with Galaxy's Edge is just why. Like that is just a big question. Because you're doing all these missions, and then it's fun to do them, but there's no real like reward. You get the credits, but the credits as a whole are just pretty confusing too.
okay. The credits mean nothing.
Nothing, literally nothing.
And I asked I think we were over by the cantina, and
Yes.
I asked somebody about the credits, a cast member, and they're like, oh yeah, they mean nothing. And I think I've mentioned this before, but like it's even annoying because when you go to pay for anything, like legitimately pay for anything, they'll say like if something's $10, they'll say that's 10 credits. And you're like, wait a second, I gained credits in the app. Like, are you telling me that's money? Because if
show
so,
them the
I'll play this thing. I'll play this thing all day.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, if I could earn real money that way, I'd be playing that until I owned that $25,000 R2-D2 remote control that they have. But that is not the case. The credits in the app, I don't think mean anything. Like you can't even like buy a phone wallpaper or anything, right?
No,
Like they're
nothing. It just shows up on your like home screen of the data pad that you have 7,000 credits, but it doesn't. Other than that, it's a useless number.
I wonder if was the original intention, or if there was supposed to be something more with that. I feel like there was supposed to be something more with that. Like you were supposed to be able to do something with it in the land. And I wouldn't be surprised if eventually down the line we start seeing something like that. I haven't checked since I left that day. Have you happened to notice? Do you still have those credits in the app?
Yes, I looked earlier today. It still
Really?
shows up. Yeah.
Okay, so you can go and essentially continue your game and continue earning credits every time you go back.
Yes.
And they're going to have to mean something sometime. Like, I don't ever expect them to be worth any amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope there's some sort of like digital downloads. You know what would be really cool is if once you reach a certain amount of credits, you do like a free Disney Photo Pass download.
That would be cool. Yeah. And that would mean, Disney could totally do that. It's not like that's worth a lot. Like that'd be a great thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't cost them anything. And I think that actually people would like that. But I don't feel like the app plussed my experience at all in the land. If anything, I think it maybe took away a little bit.
I don't think it took, at least from my point of view, I don't think it took away, but I don't think that next time I'll go, I'll be like, we have to get on the Play Disney Parks app to continue my credits. Like I need to get more credits.
Yeah, I'm really surprised they didn't have like a Pokemon Go type of game.
That would have been cool.
Considering how popular that was, I'm surprised that something like that doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't be surprised if eventually it does. I'm sure that we'll see a lot of changes within this app, and it'll be updated a lot and, make your adventure change throughout the years.
Yes.
But as of right now, that doesn't exist. And as of right now, the credits mean nothing from what we understand and according to the cast members I spoke to.
Yeah.
Now, did you do any more tuning while you were there?
I think that was the only mission that we did for tuning, but
Okay.
there was really it was kind of a one and done type thing. I can't imagine that there'd be any other special tuning mission that would provide a different experience,
Yeah, and when it said, and you listened to secret messages,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't actually hear anything, right? It just like sent you
It
text.
typed it out. Here's what it said. I have it up. It said, these are supposedly stormtroopers saying, Kylo just keeps saying, I sense something. What does that even mean? And then the other one responds, maybe he'll get a sense of humor someday. That guy needs to loosen up. That's all we got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's more exciting to me than that is picking up the phone on Main Street USA. You ever done that?
Yeah.
When you pick up the phone and you listen to the party line?
Yeah.
Like, that's more interesting than tuning in to the stormtroopers in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, in my opinion. I will say my buddy Chris, who was there with me earlier in the day, he really thought that this Play Disney Parks app stuff was fun, but he is a serious gamer and, gets really into that. So maybe, if you're into that, it's, I'm sure, is exciting, but ooh, okay, that's tuning. What do you want to talk about next?
Want to just talk about like all those codes that we saw around the land, but
the QR codes that we had to scan.
Yeah.
So I think that was part of scanning, right?
Yes,
it was called scanning. And basically with these, you peek inside of cargo crates you may spot. They were on some crates, and I think maybe even some droids might have had them on them.
Yes.
And, that was basically you're scanning it with the camera of your phone. And weren't there puzzles involved with that one as well once you did the scan?
Yeah, there were puzzles involved with those as well. But again, we were just going around scanning the things, the QR codes, and there would be a puzzle after, and then it would say that we unlocked it or something like that, and then that's kind of the end of it.
Yeah, I think one of the things that bothered me about it was I have a very completionist attitude when it comes to things. I want to finish something that I start.
Yeah.
And maybe I didn't spend enough time looking, but in the app, I didn't see anything like, oh, you've completed your mission for the day. Or if you haven't, you have this much more to do. It was just kind of like there are games, just keep playing and you'll keep gaining credits. But there was no end in sight. Mm-hmm. And when there's not an end in sight for me, I kind of lose interest quickly. I'm like, oh, so there's really no resolution here. Yes. It just exists.
I agree.
Did you happen to see that in the app at all and I missed it?
I think that I'm not sure, but within the jobs section, I remember that there was active, which means that you've opened it, you've started it, and then complete. There might have been a completed section, and then I remember that there was also an expert section, which I didn't try any of those, but I'm not sure how hard they could really be, right?
So yeah, there were a ton of those QR codes. I will say, I was walking all over that land and I felt like I was running into them constantly. Mm-hmm. And even areas that weren't necessarily easily accessible. I remember the first stuff I started scanning was actually in the queue to build a lightsaber.
Okay.
And if folks listen to that episode, they know that that area got locked down about an hour in because of just the large amount of people wanting to do it. So if you didn't have a reservation, they really weren't letting you pass that area. I'm sure if you said, hey, I want to go scan that QR code or something, they'd let you go. But it was there's a lot of them and there's a lot of areas. I didn't notice. Did you happen to see if there were any in the cantina or anything like that?
I didn't see any, so I don't think so.
That'd be cool if there were, though, if it was more than just Beyond the Land and it actually kind of got you into all of these different locations. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
But that's essentially what scanning was. It was the scanning of QR codes to, get you more credits that don't mean anything.
Yeah.
And then there's hacking where you get to interact with certain door panels or droids to see their memories throughout Black Spire Outpost. The First Order is trying to install surveillance devices in door panels to spy on the Resistance. You can use your data pad to join in on Outpost Control, a land-wide game, and choose to support either side as they vie for a hold on the land. Winners may even find themselves rewarded with galactic credits for their efforts. So, in this case, I actually remember you, I don't want to say stressing out, but you were very much I don't know, which side am I?
Yes, I totally was. That to me is probably one of the coolest parts of the app is you get to choose Resistance or First Order.
This is what they were doing in Tomorrowland a while back.
Yes, exactly. It totally is.
What were they calling that? Seasons of the Force, right?
Season of the Force, yeah.
Season of the Force, where you had to choose if you were the dark side or the light side. Mm-hmm. And that's essentially what you were doing with this game in the app. You had to choose if you were the dark or light side. And what were the differences, Preston? And what did you ultimately decide for yourself?
I eventually chose resistance, but one of the hacking, I did another mission. One of the other missions I did was hacking, and I had to go to the droid depot exit, and then there was I had to download a Batu map from an old droid in the junkyard outside. So again,
Whoa,
there
wait,
was another
say
puzzle.
that again? You had to go where to get that?
So outside of the droid depot, there's that little section like with those droids in like the junkyard kind of.
Yeah.
So I had to scan one of those things off of one of the droids, and it showed up on my map as an icon. So once I got there, I just clicked play.
Okay.
And then again, it was a little puzzle. And then after that puzzle, I supposedly hacked into the droid and then sent over the map to this guy for 400 credits, something like that.
Okay. Interesting. So that one sounds like there's a little bit more to it. That one probably out of all of them sounds the most interesting. And so this is one where you choose the light side or the dark side. And I was talking about this, I think, on the Ride episode. But do you remember when they first announced Galaxy's Edge? Like, there was this big thing about, the characters in the land would know how many credits you had, how well you flew the Millennium Falcon, and all this sorts of stuff.
That's what I wanted to talk about, is because that's kind of what I'm missing from this app, is not like there's no this isn't really just from the app, it's kind of from the Ride as well. But I thought that when you would do like a mission for the Resistance and you would like succeed in the mission, the people from the dark side would like walk around you, and like Kylo Ren would walk by and say something about it. Like, I thought that they would know that. That was kind of what was being advertised, for me at least. Also from like the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, if you crash the Falcon, you're going to get like in trouble from someone in the land,
Yeah. Yeah, this is, I think part of the problem with this is because, let's face it, we started hearing about the announcement of the land was 4 years ago, and we started hearing about stuff years ago. And the problem is, at that point, like, Imagineering is still very much in the blue sky phase, and they have all these ideas that they want to do. And obviously, if they're announcing them to the public, they have faith that they're going to go through. Yeah. But many reasons things don't go through, whether it's budget, time, whatever. As I keep saying, I have faith that a lot of these little details will probably end up being part of the land, and will probably end up making the Play Disney Parks app a bit more interesting.
Yes.
But I honestly think that, your first time around, unless you're really into this sort of, mobile game thing, I think don't waste your time. What do you say?
I agree, for now, at least until, like you said, we went opening day. It's possible that some of the stuff wasn't ready. It's very possible, actually. But if it stays like this until they add something more, I would say probably just skip the Play Disney Parks data pad experience as a whole.
Yeah, now one of the things that's really interesting about the stuff that you can do in Galaxy's Edge is it is very much location based. So, like, your phone knows if you're in Galaxy's Edge or not. And I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, even if you pull up different games and you're not in like very specific areas, it kind of will work in some way, shape, or form. Like this won't even let you open it unless you're in Galaxy's Edge, right? Because I feel like I tried opening it over in Tomorrowland, and it was just like, it basically said, you can't open this yet. You're not in the vicinity of Black Spire Outpost. So that's pretty actually cool. Like, this is very specific to that land. It kind of feels like it wants to be its own app. Like, it has its own section in the Play Disney Parks app. So that's kind of interesting as well. It's definitely the most advanced that the Play Disney Parks app has become.
Yes.
Usually it'll be like, one little game per attraction or whatever. This has 4 to start. In fact, one of them we still haven't talked about. What was the one? Translation.
Translation. Oh, yeah.
Now, this was the one that honestly interested me the most because it seemed to be the most straightforward and the least annoying. And so we were waiting in line for Oga's Cantina.
Yes.
And, this is very much like the Maraglyphic card that people have come to know. In fact, these days, the old Maraglyphic translations for Indiana Jones Adventure are available in the Play Disney Parks app, I believe.
Yep. They are.
And this is like that, where you can type in the hieroglyphics or reading the language around the land that you can't read, and you type it in and it will translate it into English for you. And so it's like, okay, well, let's give this a whirl. And so we give it a whirl. And the first word that we find, I can't even remember what it spelled out, but it made no sense. It was like, it was just babbling.
And then we went up to a CM and we were like, oh, does this mean anything to you? And he's like, that means absolutely nothing to me. I do not know what that is.
Yeah, he basically said to me, he was like, oh yeah, some of these mean nothing. Like, some of the signs around the land in a different language mean nothing. But then he was like, try translating that one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tried translating the one that he told me to, and I translated it, and it translated to the word cantina. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense considering we're at the cantina right now. But it kind of blew my mind to think that they have this translation app, yet they know flat out that certain signs around the land don't translate to anything.
Yeah, it's crazy because it has the potential, like, if everything translated, it could be so cool. Like going around the land, translating the signs, like finding hidden things within the land. That could be so cool.
Yeah, that is definitely the game that interests me the most, is the translating. And I don't know, that really shocked me when he was like, oh yeah, it doesn't mean anything. I was like, of course, at first I was like, am I reading this wrong? And I asked you, I was like, that's that, right? Like, am I hitting the right keys? And sure enough, I was. It just didn't mean anything. So that's really, really, really interesting to me.
I did a sign in the Falcon queue, and I did just one of the words. There was probably like 5 or 6, and it just said Falcon. So it like works, but there's nothing like cool. I guess it wastes time and like while you're in the queue, which might be nice. Like takes a couple minutes to do, but like there's nothing really special that you just uncovered within a sign.
Yeah, it would be good if there was like secret information there that, and there very well may be. We didn't translate the entire land by any means. So there may be some really cool messages, but I just think more shocking is that there are some messages that mean literally nothing whatsoever. It's just a mix of letters. Yeah. So that's weird.
I just wish that there was more interactivity within the app, because whenever I just keep comparing it to the wands at Wizarding World, you know?
Sure.
I guess that you can do that with the lightsaber too, but there's no interactivity within the lightsaber where you can hold it up to something like you can with the Play Disney Parks app.
Yeah.
I just wish, like, I keep going back to the hacking one where I hacked the droid. I wish after I would have hacked it, it would have like spun in a circle or did something like that physically, where there was nothing like that when I did it.
Yeah, once again, I do think that that's probably something we'll see in the future. If you do remember, the Wizarding World wands were not an opening day thing by any means. Those came years later. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of that happens. One thing I didn't look into is, can you interact with other people using the app?
You can't, no. There's no
cannot.
Connectivity. You can, when you're logging onto the data pad, you can select more than one person. So like I just did myself, but I could have added you to my data pad, but it would have just been from my phone.
I was going to say it wouldn't, like, because I saw that as well, and I was actually a little confused, because what it reminded me of is, like, if you're ever planning on My Disney Experience, how you can, like, connect your friends or your family and book all of your fast passes together and stuff, and it kept saying, you know, are there more people? And I was like, well, how would, like, I connect to you? Do I have to put in your phone number or something? But that makes more sense. It really has nothing to do with that. It's just basically allowing multiple people to use one phone to play their own game.
Exactly.
Like I said, I mean, I don't have a ton to say about the Play Disney Parks app and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I think it's a waste of time. I'm sure there are some people out there who love it. It's not for me. I wouldn't be surprised if I never open it again, unless the credits start meaning something, and then that'll make it more enticing.
That would make it awesome if the credits meant something. If they continue to add to it and add those interactive elements, those physical things that you can control within your app, then I would be impressed. Then I would probably start doing it multiple times. when I go.
Now, you touched on this a little bit, but I didn't, as you said, we didn't play it because when we went on Smuggler's Run, there was no wait. But so there is something separate in the app that has something to do with your time in the queue there, right?
Yes, so it's similar to if you've ever done the Peter Pan one or the Space Mountain one. I believe those are the only two that we have in Disneyland. Oh, there's a Toy Story one as well for Midway Mania.
Okay.
But I think that's it for Disneyland Resort. But yeah, it's similar to that. So the description for that, the title of it is Flight Crews Wanted, and it says, before the smuggling begins, prove to notorious pirate Hondo that you're ready for your run. From identifying your cargo and maintaining an undercover ID to preparing the Millennium Falcon to jump into hyperspace.
So that's it. There's those 5 things to do in the app. And of course, we did tons more when we were in the land. And I talked about this a bit on the merchandise episode of Disney Coast to Coast for Galaxy's Edge. But since you actually experienced it firsthand and I was just watching you, just wondering if you wanted to talk a little bit about building a droid. You have your own BB now, don't you?
I do have my own BB unit.
How's he doing, by the way?
He's good. He's right here. He's watching me record the episode.
Is he beeping and booping randomly?
Not right now.
He was in the land quite a bit.
Yeah, that was really cool. I loved seeing him do that.
You loved it. Oh my God. It would be anywhere and all of a sudden your box would start riding. You're like, look, he's moving. You were like very excited about it.
I was totally nerding out about it. It was really cool.
I mean, obviously that you would suggest, right?
Yes, I love that. We did it probably, like halfway through our reservation period, would you say?
Yeah, and there was like no wait.
10-minute wait, maybe.
Yeah.
It's $100, which I think $100 is a lot of money, but I kind of think it's worth it to have your own droid. I think it's a pretty cool experience.
Here's the thing that I find most funny about that is if you found that on a shelf at Toys R Us, that would probably, my guess, be a $50 toy. And that would be it put all together, right? Like already manufactured. Yet you're paying about double the price it would probably cost in a store to manufacture it yourself. So I just always find that very comical when it's like, ooh, let me pay to do the hard work myself. So that makes me laugh. I get it. It's all about the experience. And I agree, like it's a super cool experience. I do find that quite funny though. But in any case, continue about your journey of building a droid. And have you named him or her?
I still haven't named him, but I don't know. I still need to think about it. I'll have a name soon. But
okay.
So you pay, and then you go over to this long conveyor belt, and there's hundreds of parts for your, you can do either an R2 or a BB unit. And it's just one conveyor belt for both of them. And you get a little tray when you buy it, and it comes with instructions on the tray. So you need one of this, one of that, and etc. So you just grab it, and there's multiple colors, but you can kind of customize it yourself. There's tons of options. It's pretty darn cool.
Yeah, and then you bring it over to a station, and you get some help putting it together. You get to use a real drill, which is really cool. I don't know why that was like, wait, there's an actual drill involved. This isn't just snapping pieces together.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it's cool. So now you get your own little BB, and you could not take them out of the box in the land, if I remember correctly. That was like one of the rules.
Yeah, it's one of the rules. And I guess also, we didn't see this, but they sell a backpack for $40 that like perfectly fits a BB or an R2 unit, so you don't have to carry the box around, and you can bring it when you return to Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They've thought of everything, haven't they?
Uh-huh.
That's crazy. Oh, will you bring him back to Galaxy's Edge, do you think?
I might. We'll see. I probably will, yeah.
Because the story is that he's supposed to interact with, like, if Kylo Ren walks by or something. Yeah. Because you have to choose what side your droid is on, right?
Yes. So mine's on the Resistance side, and supposedly if Kylo Ren goes by with stormtroopers, he'll shake in your backpack or in your box, and if Rey walks by or someone on the Resistance side, he'll kind of like spin around in excitement. That's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, I hope that does, because that's really cool. Which just means that, like, the characters are wearing some sort of sensor on themselves so that when they walk by these things, they activate, which is pretty darn cool.
Yeah, really cool.
I like that. But in any case, cool. Anything else you want to add about the app or your droid excursion?
Well, I just want to say with like the droid, like you'd put it once you're done building it, you put it in like this side, and then there's this whole probably like a minute long like activation little show. So you push the button, activate, and then it just goes up, and then it starts spinning around, and then it's ready to go.
Yep, fun. And then you are the proud owner of a droid.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, Preston, thanks so much for coming on the show to talk about Galaxy's Edge Play Disney Parks app. And it was so much fun going to opening day with you of Galaxy's Edge.
So much fun.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it was great.
Great. So, folks, if this is the first DCTC episode about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge that you've listened to, be sure to check out our previous episodes focusing on Star Wars Galaxy's Edge opening day, food, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, and merchandise. Also, just a reminder that this is the final episode of Disney Coast to Coast focusing on Star Wars Galaxy's Edge for now, and that DCTC will be going back to its regular schedule beginning this upcoming Wednesday. Also, if you've been enjoying these episodes of Disney Coast to Coast all week long about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, it would be appreciated if you could head over to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating and review for Disney Coast to Coast. Your 5-star rating and review will help other Disney fans find the show more easily. Now, I have noticed that some of you have left some much appreciated 5-star ratings recently, and I'd love to give you all a shout out, but unfortunately, I don't see the usernames of the folks who leave only a 5-star rating. In order for me to see your username, you must leave a review as well. If you scroll down a bit, you'll see a place where it says write a review a bit below where it says tap to rate. So instead of tapping to rate, be sure to write a review so that I can give you a shout out on the show. As always, 5-star ratings and reviews are very much appreciated. Other than that, folks, have a magical day. Bye!
Thanks for listening to Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.
Disney Coast to Coast is produced and hosted by Jeff DePauli. Learn more about the podcast and become a supporter at DisneyCoastToCoast.com.